Now, we could easily leave them like this, but I want to make it pop out a little bit more. Let me use this to point. Notice how even though we use the number 3 all the way on the sides, this area is still lighter than the rest. So I'm simply gonna taper. So in this case, I'm simply gonna taper the tapering area. Dang. So in this case, I'm gonna taper the temple area and fade into that lightest spot on the side. And of course, I'm not gonna be going, and of course, I'm not gonna use the number 2 in this area. I don't want to do it like this. I done lost my spot where I'm at. And of course, you just want to stay around that. And of course, you want to stay around the lattice area and not actually cut into it. Because imagine if I used a 1.5 guard in this area, then everything would just, that would pretty much defeat the purposes, and that would be even lighter. So then we would have to go even lower to be able to match it, to really be able to make the whole thing match up. I think that's all we need. How do you do it? How do you do a taper in the back area? And after a little bit of detailing, you end up with a fade. Dang it. And after a little bit of detailing, and after a little bit more detailing, you end up with a taper that's even throughout the whole thing. But regardless if you use a number 2, just always keep in mind, regardless if you use a number 2 to taper down or you do a skin taper, I wasn't even recording, dang it. Just always keep in mind, regardless if you taper down with the number 2 or you do a skin taper, they're both tapers. So one of the things that I focus on whenever I'm doing skin fades and bald fades and all that, since I already know that I'm going to be skinning out the majority of the head, I'm just going to be working in small sections. So I'm going to work on this side of the head first, and as soon as I debulk everything with the trimmer, I'm going to use the babless shavers to really go in and just completely skin them out. And once again, just working in small sections, and that's really going to allow me to, that's really going to help me control where I want to keep the fade at, and allow me to work in small sections so I don't get overwhelmed by looking at the whole thing, and I'm not going to get lost within the fade either. And just like that, this section's done. So now all I have to do,
I check every day to see if somebody cancels.
For real?
Yeah, because before I got today, the earliest day you had was April 21st. I was like, man, I'm about to have a pro.
So I guess somebody canceled today's then and got in it?
Yeah, somebody canceled today. Like 2 days ago, I checked every single day, waiting for somebody to goose.
Yeah. That's how every single haircut that I've been demonstrating today, I've used the same technical techniques on them. On some of them, I've had to switch it up a little bit more and use a different technique just depending on their density and texture of hair. But for the majority, every single thing is the same thing, same technique, same system, but you just gotta customize it at the end. And I'm not gonna do a full tutorial on this haircut right now because I already have a tutorial posted on him on my channel. So make sure you go check that out. I think it's labeled as Patrick Mahomes haircut. so make sure you go check that one out. Yo, so that was just a quick glimpse at how I approach every single haircut and how I record for TikToks. Now, as far as the fading process, every single haircut is going to be different. You're going to have to customize each different fade to every person. But for the most part, every single haircut you're going to approach with the same technique. But now when it comes down to recording and shooting for TikTok, that's where it gets a little complicated because I still have a full schedule of clients. And there's times whenever like, I ask myself, I'm like, man, how am I gonna be able to pull off a whole tutorial and keep it with all my clients? You just gotta push, you gotta work hard. and you got to really just execute and have a proper system down. This moment right now, I'm not doing as many haircuts as I once was doing. Now, am I taking a pay cut? I definitely am. I'm taking a huge pay cut by not doing as many clients as I once was. But at the end of the day, I have a clear understanding of what my vision is, and I understand where I want to get to. And right now my vision is to really be able to share as much knowledge as I can with you. So that's why I'm taking the hit right now and just trying to make it work. Because even this morning, I got super behind on the haircut. And I think I was like 45 minutes late for my next appointment. And it just comes down to it. Like, if you get that far behind, it's my fault. Then you just got to compensate each individual. And literally, you're going to have to give up money, right? Like, sometimes I'll give them a free beard, sometimes a free haircut, it just depends. But I always try to be acknowledgeable of my clients' time and really respect their time, because I want my time to be respected and I value my time a lot. So that's just something you have to keep in mind. But even right now, I'm speaking super fast because I'm literally editing this like 15 minutes before my next client gets here, and I'm gonna have it posted on YouTube as soon as my next client comes in. And it comes down to it, it's like you just gotta put in the work and really just go for it. The whole thing of people always saying, I don't have time, I can't do it, there's no way. You got time, you just gotta make the time, right? You gotta find it in you to make the time. Eventually what my goal is, I do want to do even less cuts and concentrate more on making videos. But even with me not doing as many cuts right now, it's already a little hard because my clients are noticing that I'm not doing as many cuts, and it just comes down to the things like I want to be able to get to everybody, but I also have a clear understanding of what I want to achieve. So it's just like we got to grind it out, and I think my client just put up, so back to the grind.